All right. Awesome. So we're here. We're live. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I know. Yes to the music. Let me turn that off. Oh my goodness. All right. We should be good. Okay. We're back. All right. So I'm talking to a very specific group of entrepreneurs this morning, and I'm excited to have this conversation with you all because I think it's one that's really going to help some people out. So, of the folks that are joining us live bright and early, just let me know how many of you went to college. Okay. If you went to college, just drop college in the chat. If you went to college, just drop college in the chat. And if you have an advanced degree, meaning you have an MBA, JD, PhD, etc., I want you to drop advanced in the chat. Okay, I want to see who's joining, who's on, because I have some things to say about this as someone who went to college and has a JD and did all of that stuff myself. And now I'm in this space of entrepreneurship, and some of the principles that I learned in going to college do not directly apply to what I'm doing now. Okay. Now, before I get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Ashley Kirkwood. I am the founder of a firm called Mobile General Counsel, and I'm the operating CEO of a company called Speak Your Way to Cash. So I have my hands and my thoughts in a couple of different buckets. Both of my business I would consider to be service-based, although Speak Your Way to Cash has a lot of passive income products that we do as well. So that's a bit about me and what I do professionally now. But before all this, my background, I went and got my college degree from the University of Illinois. I don't know if there's any alumni here, ILL, you know what I mean? And then I went on to graduate top of my class from Northwestern Law School. And it was a whole journey in between there. It was not as smooth as it sounded, but a lot of my friends are lawyers, have advanced degrees, have master's degrees or PhDs. They're super smart people. And some of them want to do entrepreneurship. And a lot of the women that I work with in the Speak Your Way to Cash Academy and at Speak Your Way to Cash generally, who are coming to my event in November, hopefully all of you watching are coming to the event in November, are similar. Like they've gone to college, they have advanced degrees. And so I want to talk about why sometimes smart, and I use that in air quotes, right? Because it doesn't, if you don't have a degree, it doesn't mean you're not smart. I'm not saying that at all. But sometimes credentialed, I will say, folks have a tougher time. And I almost want to make it a little bit more narrow. I want to talk to the people who are credentialed and also consider themselves people of color. Racial minority, so maybe specific about that. So you know, Black, Latino, Asian, etc. You consider yourself a racial minority and you're credentialed. This is my experience. I'm gonna get real honest with you all about some things that I have experienced and things that I see in working with people who have all the credentials in the world. Here's what I see. The path that it took for you to be credentialed and Black in America, I'll speak specifically to that. It took a lot, right? It took a lot mentally. It took a lot in terms of what you had to do day in and day out to get the grades. It took a lot. And oftentimes when you have the advanced degrees, you get accolades, you get all of these things, you do it and you get very used to external validation. You get very used to the gold star. You get very used to having the grades and people saying that you're smart. You get very used to those things. Anyone else get used to that? Anyone else get used to getting the good job? And people say, oh, wow, my baby works at insert company here. She's so bright. How many have gotten used to that or started to crave that at some point along your career? If that's you, if you ever were there, just drop me in the comments, because that was me. That was me. And over time, after accomplishing so many things, right? So many things, people saying you're smart, people being proud of you, specifically, like for me, it was my parents. Like my parents bragging to their friends about their daughter who went to Northwestern and did all those things. All of that becomes a little bit addictive. Like that's what you need. Like you want people to talk about you. You want people to brag on you. You want people to think that you're smart. And sometimes the feelings you get of like, oh, I'm enjoying this. This is fun. You don't necessarily enjoy the job or the schooling or any of the underlying things that you're doing, but you enjoy how it makes other people around you feel. Does that make sense? Just let me know if it makes sense this morning. Because if it don't, I got to switch it up and say it a different way, child, if it don't make sense. Now, I'm giving you all this backstory. I'm giving you all this backstory because there's something that I have discovered in working with high achieving men and women. Okay. So if you are a high achieving man or woman, this is for you. There's something that I've discovered. There's a trend that I see amongst my clients who are well credentialed, degreed, have all the qualifications in the world. There's something that I see that we got to talk about because I want us to win. Here's what I'm seeing. We are more afraid to fail publicly. Okay? We're not willing to fail publicly. Now, there's two things I believe you need to be able to do as an entrepreneur to be really successful, and I'm going to prove it to you. Both of them have to do with failing. And by failing, I mean make mistakes, goof up, whatever, right? There's two things, okay? Two things that I think you need to do in order to be successful as an entrepreneur that people who are well credentialed often struggle with more so than my clients who aren't. This is what I'm seeing. If you're ready for the two things, just drop number 2 in the comments. Just drop a number 2 in the comments. If you're ready for me to go ahead and just unveil these two things, honey, if you're ready to just get right on into it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about these two things. So give me a 2 in the comments if you're ready to dig into these things. And here's why I'm talking about this. There are some mindset shifts that if we do not deal with them, we will look up and we'll be living a life that looks good, but that doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. And I am huge on making sure that your life, I don't really care how it looks. Does it feel good? Does it feel good? Because you can go and get all the Louis bags and Gucci bags. And I used to walk around, like when I was in corporate, y'all, child. When I was in corporate, I did a podcast interview the other day and I told them how much money I was spending month to month in like lifestyle, how much money I was spending. It was ridiculous. Okay, I'm seeing some twos. Hey, Shamika. Hey, Bridget. I'm seeing some twos. And I was spending all this money and I realized it was because I wanted to have a certain look. Not because the things I was buying made me feel good. Not because the things I was buying were like, oh, so amazing, such amazing quality. It wasn't any of these reasons. It was solely because I needed to have a look. So I think that there are two things you need to do if you really want to be successful in entrepreneurship that people who are well credentialed or quote unquote smart seriously struggle with, right? They seriously struggle with. Here's number 1. Failing publicly. Failing publicly is number 1. Hey, Jamal. Failing publicly is number 1. Failing publicly is number 1. Okay. And what do I mean by this? Most of us do everything in order to get good grades. There's two camps of people. One camp is like, I got good grades because I didn't want my mama and daddy to, get after me when I got home. Number 2 was like, I'm getting good grades because I want to be the best in the class. I want to be better than other people. Either one of those mindsets help you to avoid pain, avoid embarrassment, avoid failing publicly. And we're taught from a young age, the quote unquote good kids do what? They avoid pain, they avoid failing, they avoid all of that. And so if you are taught 20 plus years to avoid public failure because you don't want to be embarrassed, you don't want to be looked down upon, etc. And then you get into entrepreneurship where it requires you to do new things, to maybe look a little dumb. You know what I mean? To do all of these different things, it becomes very difficult for you. But if you are afraid to fail publicly, you can't promote the way you need to promote. You can't sell the way you need to sell. You won't go after the largest deal imaginable because you won't even allow yourself to dream or imagine larger than what you can control. Anybody been there? And I'm going to repeat that. If you are afraid to fail publicly, you won't even allow yourself to dream larger than beyond the circumstances that you can control. And how does that look? Every year on your vision board, it's stuff that you can make happen. It's like, I want to get a new job. Okay, cool. But like, you can go get a new job. You know what I mean? That doesn't require a miracle from the heavens for you to get a new job. It just doesn't. And it doesn't matter. Like, that's the case no matter what your circumstances are. Jobs have qualifications. In those qualifications, it tells you what you need to do to be competitive. Okay? If you do those things, you put yourself in a better position to get the job. If, and I am not, let me be very clear. I ain't down in nobody that's got their vision board with all the stuff they can control. But here's how it looks when you try to control every little thing. If you can control it, it has to be within your ability to hold it. Okay, so everything around you that you want, everything around you that you see, you don't have the capacity to grab because you're trying to control everything. In order to control everything, you have to understand it. So you can't go after and get things that you don't fully understand because you can't control what you don't know. Okay, the real issue with growing up, the way that a lot of us had to grow up, is that we've done everything in our power to remain invisible and just get what society says we can have. And if I'm being completely honest, as a Black person, that a lot of that could be for safety, right? We don't want to deal with people we don't want to deal with. We can't trust people the way other people can trust them. But what I'm telling you is it is now the year 2021. Everything is not perfect. But if you don't learn how to dream beyond your control, it's going to be an issue for you. You will never be able to live the life that you want to live. And if you find yourself consistently frustrated with the life that you're living, yet you look successful, it's probably because you're not dreaming big enough. And if you don't dream big enough, you can't have vision. And if you don't have vision, you can't create a plan to make the vision manifest so you can go back and dream some more. So let me tell you what this is about. And let me tell you the danger of being afraid to fail publicly. When you are afraid to fail publicly, other people control every aspect of your life. It is as though society is filled with wardens instead of relationships. What do I mean by that? And let me tell you why I'm having this conversation, okay? And if this is good, just put good. I needed this. Let me know, okay? Somebody said I needed this today. Come on, okay? If you are afraid to fail publicly, you create wardens in your life instead of relationships. And what I mean by that is the people around you no longer have the ability to feed into you or give you ideas or help you get further because you don't look at them the right way. You're looking at them as wardens. So you're afraid to post what you need to post and get what you need to get. And the reason you're afraid of it is because you're afraid they're going to judge you. And you take all of their judgments so seriously that it essentially jails your dreams. I don't know who this is for, okay? But look, I was talking to my girlfriend the other day. And she's brilliant. And I was telling her, she was like, somebody told me that it's really hard to run Facebook ads and it's kind of hard to do this and it's really hard to do that. And I was like, sis, that ain't hard for you. You're smart. All the things it takes to be successful in life are skills. They are not gifts. A lot of people have misconstrued the two. There are some people that believe, okay, and here's what I mean by this. Let me be very clear about this because I know it's like some church folk on here that's going to get me with this. It's like everything's a gift from God. Okay, cool. Let me tell you something. The problem with you waking up and seeing successful people and saying, oh my gosh, Ashley, you have a gift for that. Mike is on here. Mike Nelson, powerful speaker. I love him. Love his videos. Super dope guy. Mike, you have a gift for speaking. My brother Odell, you have a gift for speaking. Chris, oh my gosh, if you've never heard my husband speak, I'm sorry, he's dope. Chris, you have a gift for speaking. Is when you classify people as having a gift versus looking at what they do and realizing it is a skill, you literally remove your obligation to do the work. So now you're like, okay, they have a gift for it. No one gave me the gift for it. I can't do anything about my circumstances. It is time for you to take your power back in every area of your life. If you're tired all the time, look at your surroundings. If you're worried about being judged, I want you to think every time you're worried about being judged, am I allowing them to be a warden in my life or am I allowing them to have a relationship with me? And it does not matter who these people are. Okay? Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. It does not matter who these people are. What do I mean by that? It doesn't matter if it's your mother. Well, my mama told me, when you are an adult, when you're grown, you are responsible for your own mental health and sustainability, even if your parents were not effective partners in your life. So that means your family can ask you to do stuff, but if it drains you, if it detours you from your destiny, if it helps you to be small instead of being large, then you're going to have to allow them to be a relationship. And here's how you look at them. Even when they give you critique, you look at them and say, okay, you think this. You may not say it to them. You think this. Okay, she gave me some critique. Is there anything I can learn from this? Is there any way that can nourish me? And if not, You let it go. You let it go. And guess what? You can maintain the relationship because guess what? People who I have relationships with don't have power over me, but they are allowed to nourish my life. I have agency over what I do because I've taken my power back. But look, when you grow up and you go through the school system and you go through all these different systems and you go through the church system and you go through the educational system and you go through the healthcare system, every piece of what you do is so that you don't make other people uncomfortable. Let me tell you a story. This is kind of embarrassing, but I'm gonna tell y'all anyways because we friends, you know what I mean? We friends, right? Now that I'm preaching to y'all this Thursday morning, we friends. I want to tell you all something and I think it's really going to bless you and help you. When I was growing up, I worked a job at Rave. Anybody remember Rave? It was a retail store. And I had this manager. She was like a goth person, right? And this is just to give you a visual. Black hair, black lips, dark makeup. That was her thing. I would come into the store every day, super happy, super hyped. I was probably like 15, 16. And she was so disrespectful to me. And I was like, first of all, I remember doing this at a very young age. I was like, first of all, I want to be very clear. I'm only here until my internship starts. This is not my portion in life. I literally told this grown woman this. I was like, now, I don't know what issue you have with me, and it's probably because of decisions you made in your life, but this has nothing to do with me, period. I remember having that attitude as a very young girl. And I was talking to my husband about it, and I was like, man, that was kind of rude. But you know what was beautiful about that? I was never afraid, even as a young child, to make people mad. Now, I'm not saying raise a disrespectful kid, but if you're going to raise a kid with confidence, just know confident people are not afraid to make other people mad and uncomfortable. Yes, you should be considerate, but when it comes time to have some confrontation, you have it directly and you deal with it and you move on. And so although I probably could have had a better tone, I probably could have been nicer. I probably could have told my parents, and my parents could have told my boss that they were being disrespectful because I was a minor at the time. But at the end of the day, when I look back on that story now and I talk to my husband about it, I was like, I wasn't really nice about that. But you know what I appreciate about it looking back is that I wasn't afraid to make people mad. I just wasn't. And that carried throughout my life because guess what? To negotiate effectively in a capitalistic society, you cannot be afraid to make people mad. Some of you were raised to be nice, and that's cool. But every now and then, you can be nice, you can be calm, you can be kind, but you do not need to be afraid to have tough conversations and to make people mad. And so back to the story, because I'm literally reminiscing about this with my husband. And I'm like, man, where did I get that from? And my husband looked me dead in the face because y'all know he a boss and he knows how to talk to me. And he says, you know why you were like that? Because when your dad's the king, you walk different. And he was like, one, you knew God. 2, you knew that woman had no control over you. And 3, you always grew up knowing your parents would go to bat for you. That's what he said. He was like, you knew your parents would go to bat for you. So I don't know what you all believe, whether you have parents that'll go to bat for you, whether you believe in the God Almighty that created everything, whether you whatever it is that you believe in, you need to believe that you have someone or you have the capability to go to bat for yourself, because people who believe that walk differently every single time. Okay. And I need y'all to believe that. Now, let's say you didn't have, because I knew my dad, please, my mom and my dad, they wouldn't bat an eye. I may have been in the wrong, but they was going to come through and handle the situation and scold me in the car. Okay. That's just how we roll over at the Williams household. So, so I did know those things, but how does that relate to you today? I don't know how you were raised. I don't know what you were taught about confrontation. I don't know what you were taught about making other people comfortable. But sometimes you need to be very, 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 very deliberate in taking up space. And if it makes someone mad, it doesn't matter. It really does not matter. I mean, you have to obviously assess your surroundings, but wanting to be palatable does not allow you to take up space. It doesn't allow you to change the world. You can't name a single world changer that did not make some folks upset. So some of us need to unlearn the lessons that we were taught for our entire lives. Okay? You're going to make some people mad. Hey, Takora, how are you? You're going to make some people mad. Okay? You're going to make some people mad. You're going to make some people mad. Mike said, I'm glad I'm glad you're saying this. I've been through the church and education system, which teaches about failure at all costs. Yeah, so the number one thing that I find my educated people, my educated speakers are afraid to do is fail publicly. They're afraid to put out those emails and people just say no. They're afraid to announce themselves as a world-class speaker because people might say, "Ooh, girl, you're doing too much." They're afraid to introduce a new product suite because they're afraid their audience will be confused. So all of these different fears end up becoming like barriers. It's like barriers everywhere. It's like barriers everywhere. And I'm telling you right now today, if you do not put yourself in a position to dream beyond what you have the ability to control, you will maintain a prisoner for a life that you've created. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. Because guess what? People are going to be mad anyways. I don't know who I was talking to about this, but like, recently, Chris and I have been going places and we don't dress up. Like we go to the peninsula looking so like in our baggy sweats. It don't even matter. We go there all the time and we look baggy. We don't care. And we used to when things were different, what we used to do is we would dress up to go to a nice restaurant back before the pandemic. But now it's the pandemic. We're like, we ain't dressing up. And when we go in these places, if they know us, like the peninsula, they know me. So they're like, "Oh, hello, Miss Kirkwood, everything's great." But then when we go into other places that are quote unquote nice and they don't know us and we're dressed the way we're dressed, people treat us differently. But what I learned is that it doesn't really matter to me because here's my value system. I would rather be rich than look rich. I would rather be happy than look happy. And I would rather feel good than look good. Okay. That's just my personal value system. And I feel like that value system has been highlighted more in the pandemic, but that's like my real life. It's great to be treated really nicely everywhere. And if you dress up, it really does help the way you're treated out. But at the end of the day, you're going to treat me good because you should. And if you don't, you'll learn to do it next time. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. So you got to be really careful that your value system isn't, I would rather look rich than be rich. I would rather look good than actually be good. And I would rather look happy than being happy. Because I think social media actually allows that whole, you can look happy, but you're not necessarily being happy. That's just not a part of my personal value system. It is what it is. Every now and then I put on what I need to put on and I look like a superstar. But most of the days that ain't how it's rolling out. It's not happening like that. So number one thing is fail publicly. Now I got a second thing that you have to do to be a successful entrepreneur that really keeps people back who consider themselves smart, well-credentialed, etc. And I guess it relates to number one. So number one, you got to fail publicly. Number two, you got to fail faster. You've got to fail faster. Here's how the education system has ruined this for us, right? Most people I work with are naturally smart and they have a hard time failing faster because they want to have all their ducks in a row first. And they want to be very confident in everything that they're putting out. And that becomes a problem because if you cannot fail faster, you can't get the data that you need to improve. You have to start failing faster. Don't be afraid to fail publicly, and you got to start doing it faster. And really, I'm using the word failure, but at the end of the day, these are all just lessons. You're just testing out new things. You're seeing how it works, and you can take that data and do something with it. It's not the be all end all, right? But I do think that for people who are highly credentialed, who consider themselves smart, who are used to getting external validation, it's very difficult for them to just make the decisions they need to make to start failing faster. And if you don't, you're behind the 8 ball. You cannot micromanage and control every piece of every new process. Yes, you have to start failing faster. Fail faster equals learn faster. Yes, I 100% agree. And so what do we do with this? How did I break this down? And I'm gonna tell you all what was a big struggle for me. The biggest struggle for me in leaving my $300,000 job and starting my own companies and being a full-time entrepreneur and hiring other people and making the money that we make now, like we've far replaced the salary that I left and all of that and been able to hire people and give benefits and all these things. My biggest issue, my biggest struggle was letting go. And I still feel like a piece of me struggles with this, letting go of the title. Like a part of me, if I'm being 100% honest and transparent with you all, felt that my identity, a portion of my identity was wrapped in my accolades. So I felt like, okay, because I went to, and I don't feel this way now, but this is what I had to work through, if we're being 100%. Because I went to Northwestern Law and got exceptional grades, I was highly qualified. Because I worked at Kirkland & Ellis, top firm, highly qualified. Because I've tried and won federal jury trials and led those trials and convinced the jury that my side was the right side, I was highly qualified, and all, or not even highly qualified, because those things do make you highly qualified. But I was I was worthy. I was worthy. And so I felt when I first started this, I had to make sure that people respected me, not because of who I am, but because of what I had done. And I realized that believing that your confidence is based on things that you have is going to hurt your confidence, because your confidence will fluctuate based on what you have. And so I had to do a lot of work to ensure that I had confidence regardless of the things that I had and the things that I knew, because a confident person has absolutely no problem saying what they don't know. Whenever you're in a position and you feel like it's a personal attack, if you don't know something, you are probably like insecure in that area. So if you're afraid to ask questions, you're insecure in that area. If you're afraid to tell someone you don't know something because you think they'll think of you differently, you're making them a warden in your life. If all of these things, they all culminate, they all come together to create boundaries that you don't need to have. That you do not need to have. You do not need to have those things. Edward says, leveraging money and people are the keys to success. Degrees, I have 3, including a JD, don't equate to financial freedom. 100% true. 100% true. And so I 100% believe, you guys, and the reason I harp on the currency of confidence, and the reason why at Speak Your Way to Cash Live, we're doing a Dreamer's Den, is because what I do well, I teach people how to speak. I teach people how to land contracts, what you need to do to negotiate them, get larger contracts, make more money in your business. All of that is stuff that I teach. But at the base level, the people who've actually gotten results, what I've done for them is I have curated and pulled out confidence in them. I have all but lent them my confidence. You know what I mean? And so that is the real gift. That's the real skill set that I've developed. That's the real skill set that I've developed, is the ability to curate and cultivate confidence in other people, because sometimes you just need to borrow some confidence. You ain't got it, you got to borrow it. And when someone who you respect tells you, no, that's the way to do it. Not only is that the way to do it, but that's normal. You're able to make moves that you otherwise would not have been able to make. But again, if you're afraid to fail publicly, and if you're taking too long to make decisions, so you're afraid to fail faster and learn faster, then you're going to always be in a box. Here's what I want to leave you with, and I don't want you all to forget this. One thing we talked about earlier is your ability to dream. Here's what I want everyone on this live to take away, write down, do what you have to do with it. If you cannot dream past the circumstances that you control, okay, you will literally create a jail for yourself. If you are afraid to fail publicly because you're worried about what every single person thinks, you are allowing people to become wardens in your life instead of relationships. Relationships nourish you. Wardens keep you locked up. They judge you. Their whole job is to keep you in a particular place. Do you control who someone is in your life? You control how someone speaks into your life. You control all of those things. In fact, as an adult, able-bodied adult in your right mind, you are able to control how you move into society. And until you realize that everything in your life is within your ability to change, you will not take moves or make action happen. You won't. You won't be able to impact people. Legacy is a huge buzzword, but if you're not afraid to make people, if you're afraid to make people mad, you're afraid to put yourself out there publicly, then you're not going to be able to create that huge legacy that you see in your dreams. And if you do not learn to dream beyond the circumstances in your control, you cannot have a clear vision. And without a clear vision, you cannot make a strategic plan. And without a vision and a strategic plan, you cannot have people follow you. Leaders need followers. Leaders need people who are going to follow them. And so I want you all to keep these things in mind as you go through your day. Yes, you're smart. Yes, you're credentialed. Yes, those things can help to qualify you for certain rooms you're going to go into, but you need to leverage that experience and do not allow it to lock you up. Because what I see, especially amongst people who look like me that are doctors, lawyers, engineers, have master's degrees, successful entrepreneurs that have done some things but want to go into something new, they allow their experience to lock them up. Who am I to do that? I'm a lawyer. Lawyers don't do that. Who am I to do that? I'm an accountant. Accountants don't speak. I can't do that. People know me as a blah, blah, blah. And that's the line right there. That's the line that really gets me. People know me as a blah, blah, blah. Like, how can I go and step out and do something new? Don't allow people to become wardens in your life. Don't allow them to become wardens in your life. And if you need to borrow confidence, just know I 100% believe in us as a collective, that we can do anything that we put our minds to once we realize the absolute power that we have. I'm reading this book about Black wealth, millionaires, Black millionaires in the 1800s. And when I think about all the things that they had to go through and overcome to accumulate wealth back then, and they couldn't even show people they were wealthy. They couldn't even show it. They couldn't even show it because it would have brought harm to their doorstep. And so when I think about that, and I think about my actual history, not the history that America likes you to believe, that's all about just slavery and being subservient and the crack epidemic. And no. When I think about the history of what our people who look like me have had to overcome and accomplish in this country, with all that we've had to go through, when I think about all of that, it just fuels my confidence and allows me to know, man, I am a strategic thinker because of the shoulders of all the other strategic thinkers I stand on. Yeah, I can make money now. People like me were making money in the 1800s, millions. And guess what? Had white folks working for them who didn't even know they were working for them because they were so strategic to have a front man who didn't look like them so that they could get the money they needed to get. It is time for us to get back to being strategic. What is your value system? You don't need to look successful to be successful. You need to learn the plan, work the plan. And if you fail and people judge you, guess what? You'll live. The best thing that could have ever happened to me was me being publicly embarrassed. The best thing that could have ever happened to me, because I learned that, guess what? I could survive it. There were people at one point in my life, there were people calling my clients saying like, oh, don't work with her because, she did this and she did this and I saw this and I saw that. There are people that like to see you succeed, but what they really like is to see you mess up. What they really like is to see, oh, I knew she wasn't all that perfect. It gives them validation to play small. If they see you fail, they can say, oh man, I knew it wasn't all that it was cracked up to be. Look at her now. She's struggling. The best thing that could have ever happened to me was to fail publicly, was to see that all the people that say they love you don't necessarily love you when you mess up. But what it taught me was I am more powerful than I knew, and that no one has control over my future except me. And that as long as I believe in the skills that God has granted me the grace to learn, I can rebuild. It's all a mindset, y'all. Base level. But for those of you that haven't failed publicly, the one gift that you don't have that I have is that I know that through a tragedy, I can restore. I know that tragedies do not break me, that traumas do not have to be your portion in life, despite what has gone through, despite what you've gone through. And so I want you to know that it's really a gift to make some mess ups publicly, because it shows you how strong you need to be. It also allows you to realize that you don't do what you do to please man, right? You do what you do to help people. And you're doing it to help people that may never tell you thank you, that may never say you helped them, that may never say that they looked at you and used you as a roadmap to get to where they need to go. But as long as I help one person sends me a DM 5-6 years later, I'm good. I'm good on that. And so don't be afraid of embarrassment or failing publicly or making mistakes or sending out an email with a typo. I've done all of that. I've literally, I can't even go into all the stuff that has happened in this vein. But you better, I'm telling y'all, do not let people become wardens in your life. Have relationships with people. Let them invest in you. And when you need to take a part of your life back, you have the agency, the authority to do that. Don't be afraid of making relationships with people. People over time will show you who they are. But the thing is, it's okay. It's okay. A lot of times we don't even take enough time to get to know the thought behind something. When someone tells you, that's not a good idea, or that's not a worthy concept, or I don't know how you're going to do that, or when they allow doubt to come out of their mouths as it relates to your dreams, it's often because they didn't have the courage to do what you're telling them about. So be careful of that too. You don't need to tell everybody everything. But if you want to dig deeper, if you want real authentic relationships, just ask. Why would you say that to me? That really, that had the ability to hurt my confidence. Why would you say that right now? What prompted you to say that? Ask. If you care about the relationship, you have to be honest with people. Ask them why they said that. What was behind that? Why they think that? Do they know someone who's been through that? Get the information. What happens because we weren't learned to critically think, and because it was not taught to have difficult conversations, it was taught that people are either your friend or your automatic enemy, which is a huge issue, but whatever, because that's how we were taught, like either they for you or they a hater, because that's how we were taught to do things a lot of times. We don't ask people the right questions to get the right answers, and we don't give them the opportunity to tell us where they're coming from. If we did, we'd learn most of what people say to you has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them and their mindset and what they're working through and what they're going through. So that's just that. But I want great relationships in my life. I am not allowing anyone to be a warden in my life. And I am going to dream bigger than the circumstances that I have control over. If you're with me, just drop a dreamer in the comments. Go and have a powerful, powerful Thursday. Do something that scares you. Implement something you've learned that you've been scared to implement. And have a powerful day. Have a powerful day. Tag a friend in this that needs this motivational message. I always love talking to you guys. Always enjoy the dialogue that we have, and I'm gonna be going live a little bit more. If you are someone who's interested in making speaking a revenue stream or growing your business with corporate contracts, you need to be at Speak Your Way to Cash Live. It is the event of the year, okay? And we're having what's called a Dreamer's Den. And that is where we are going to activate the dreams and literally walk you through a process that you can utilize to dream bigger than you've ever dreamt before. I want you to be a part of that with me. It's 3 days with me. The itinerary is amazing. I just talked to my event coordinator this morning. You will not want to miss it. It's 100% virtual. We already have people from a variety of different countries who bought their ticket. And if you get your ticket early, you will be able to come to my pre-event live prospecting party, where I will literally be showing you how I pitch clients, from finding them to pitching them. And I'm going to run a corporate pitching campaign live during the event. So you can see the tech that we use, who we're pitching, how we're pitching. We're going to have live music. It's going to be dope. You will not want to miss that event. It's the best bonus I've ever come up with. And shout out to my friend for helping me come up with that idea and concept. But the way that we're working it out and building it out is going to be life-changing. Every session at this conference has been prayed over, worked out, thought through, and it is based on, this is our 6th event. So we have data from 5 events that we've been able to build upon to make this the best event you've ever attended in your life. I 100% believe that. And I'm looking for 250 speakers, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, or just folks who are ready to speak their dreams into existence to attend this event with me. So go to speakyourwaytocash.com/event. It's going to be incredible. Get your early bird ticket so that you can come to the pre-event prospecting party, and let's make it happen. All right, let's make it happen. Let's make some things happen. So I will see you guys a bit later. Again, I'm Ashley Kirkwood, founder of Mobile General Counsel, operating CEO of Speak Your Way to Cash, and I'm excited to work with you guys in the future.